Today's daf is daf Tesvav. We are going to begin Tesvav Amid Aleph. V'hanashim b'chlal hanezik. The Mishnah says, and women are included in the halachas of damages as the same way as men. I know this. Amar the pasuk says this is in regards to the chiyuv of a person who takes a shuas shav, a false oath that he had not stolen. The pasuk says, Ish o isha kiyasu mikol hachatois, when a woman, man or a woman, shall commit any of these sins. So what do I see from here? Hishva hakasid isha the ish b'chol inishin shebeteira the Torah equates a woman with a man with regards to all punishments of the Torah. The Beit Rabbi Tana, the school of Rabbi Elazar taught. The pasuk says with regards to the laws given by our Sinai. These are the civil laws that you shall set before them. Now, to them is referring to all those who stood at Har Sinai, which we know were both men and women. So what I see from here, the Torah equates woman and a man with regards to all civil laws in the Torah. The says, in regards to the liability in the case where one's ox kills a person, isha o isha, and they killed a man or a woman. The Torah equates a woman with a man with regards to all killings in the Torah. The chiyuv incurred is the same whether the person killed was a man or a woman. Mar says it's necessary to state all of these. Had the Torah only taught the first makar, so you would say only in that case are men and women equal, as the Torah had pity upon a woman and made her chayiv to have a kapara in order that she should have kapara through paying for restitution. Avaldinin, with regards to civil law, ish, I would say dafka man, devar masu umatin, who's involved in business dealings. Yes, the civil laws apply to him. Isha label to a woman who generally is not involved in business dealings, Allah does not apply. Now, and how the Torah taught us only that men and women are equal in dinin, so you would have said that you would have said that this is an order that one should be able to sustain herself by engaging in business dealings. Now, aval kapara. Now, if civil laws do not apply to women, one would be worried about conducting business with her. But as regards to the obligation a woman to achieve atonement, I would say that dafka dvar mitzvah I would say that a man who's obligated to mitzvahs, yes, he's similarly obligated to have kapara. La bas mitzvah, but somebody who's not a bas mitzvah, like, now, to have the Torah only say the first two mekadas, so you would have said that it's limited to the fact that men and women are equal in these two cases. Because mishum kapara here is due to the fact that she also needs atonement. But mishum chayusa, and there, due to the fact that she needs to be able to sustain her. Both regards to one's ability of his ox killing a person, ish, you would have said that only for killing a man, dvar mitzvah l'shalom kefer, who is obligated in mitzvahs, so the owner of the ox is chayav to pay kefer, a ransom. Isha, but for killing a woman who is not obligated in mitzvahs, one would not be chayav, I would think. V'yeshmin and kefer, how the Torah only say in regards to ransom, I would say it's because it's a very serious matter. You kill somebody, it's a loss of a life. But they hardly tied them in the case of the two mekadas, where there's no loss of life. In Malay, I would say no, a woman is not included. Therefore, it's necessary to say all these three mekadas. The Mishnah said, "Hanizik ma'amazik b'tashlumim," and both the injured party and the one liable for the damage are involved in the payment. Itmar. We have it was stated with regards to payment. Paldi niska, it says in regards to the payment of half the cost of the damage made by a shir tam who gores another animal. Now, Rabbi says it's a monetary restitution for the injured party's loss. And so it's a monetary restitution. Rishuva says it's a fine. And Rabbi explains. Rabbi says the payment of Chatzi Nezik is a monetary restitution. Why? Because he holds a Stam Shvar La B'Cheska Shimur Kaimi. He holds that an ordinary ox who is not, let's say, a mu'id, are not presumed to be safeguarded, because the nature does not prevent them from acting in a wild manner. Therefore, the owner is responsible to safeguard them to prevent them from doing so. So accordingly, the ox causes damage by goring. So by right, it should have been that the owner needs to pay the full cost of the damage. But Ahmadu the Chasala, the Teda had pity upon him, Akatili Yad Teda, as his ox had not yet been forewarned, and he was not fully aware of the possibility that it might gore. And accordingly, the Teda reduced the extent of his liability. Now, the son of Yeshua says it's a fine. Kasavar, he holds that Stam Shvarim B'Cheska Shimur Kaimi. He holds that ordinary oxen are presumed to be safeguarded, as their nature prevents them from acting in a very wild manner. Therefore, the owner is not responsible for safeguarding them to prevent them from doing so. Accordingly, if an ox causes damage by goring, so by right, the owner should not have to pay at all. One of the Kansi, the Teda penalized him, that he will safeguard his ox, even before it's a mu'id, and decreed that the fine should be given to the injured party, even though he is not really entitled to be compensated for the loss. So that's the svara. Papa says that by a tam, he has to pay chatzi nezik, is because shvarim usually not the cheska shimur. So really, you would have to pay all. But then the Torah says, Sarachmanis, since he's not a mu'id, pay half. Mashiach Ibn says, no, Stam Shvarim is B'Cheska Shimur Kaimi. And B'din, you should not have to pay it all. The Torah Rachmanis, the person who got injured and said, penalized, gave a knas in order to that he will safeguard his ox even before he was a mu'id. Now we look at the Mishnah. Hanizik v'amazik b'tashlumim, both injured party and the one liable for the damage, such as the nizik and the mazik b'tashlumim, are involved in the payment. The Gemara says of this, granted, according to the one who says that half of the cost damage, that is a restitution, had the shayach nizik b'tashlumim. So, if you say that it's palga niskis mimena, this assumes that the injured party is theoretically entitled to receive the full value, but in practice only receives half. This is why the Mishnah says, by saying that the injured party is also involved in the payment, because as though he is compelled to forego half of the cost of the damage, that by right should be his. Right? You see, nizik with tashlumim. I say nizik mazik is bis tashlumim. So really, the nizik should have got all. Remember them, he only gets half the tashlumim. Madam rapalga iske knasa. But according to the one who says that half of the nezik is a knas, the question is hashad lavdi de shakal. Now that even the money that he takes is not right, is tashlum isi, is it accurate to describe him as being involved in the payment? So the Gemara explains, the Mishnah statement is necessary only with regard to the fact that the injured party is the one who absorbs the loss due to the diminishing value of the carcass between the animal's death at the time that the case is brought to Beis Din. Since he has to absorb this financial loss, it must be that he's involved in the payment. The Gemara says, how can you say the Mishnah is referring to the diminishing value of the carcass? I'll taught and already taught first in the elimination that tashlumi nezek, payment of restitution for damage from Namish Abaylim Betapim Minerela, teaches that the owner of the injured animal tends to retains ownership of the animal carcass, and therefore allows that he bears any depreciation in its value. So the Max, when it says Chod Betam, so the Mishnah teaches one mention is made with regards to a tam and one's b'mu'id. Okay, so the Gemara says it's necessary to mention both cases. The Ashwin and Tam, if and only say the case of the Tam since he's not a mu'id. So I would say that the Torah limits the liability of the owner because he's not a mu'id. I'm a mu'id, with regards to a mu'id, I would say that the Torah does not limit the owner's liability at all, and the owner must also bear the past nevela. The mu'id emelay. We Ashwin and mu'id. How did the Torah only say mu'id mishum to come shalom kuli? Because he pays all avatam emelay. Therefore, I need to have both. We're now attempts to prove whether the payment of half the cost of the damage is considered to be either Memena or Knas. We have a mission we're going to learn. What is the difference between the liability incurred for damage caused by a tam or muj? A tam misham chatzi nezek. The mission says that a tam pays half migufoi from the proceeds of the sale of its body. Is to pay for the body, and he pays. That's what he pays the chatzi nezek. Muj misham nezek shalim. And then Mud has to pay Nezek Shalim min ha'aliyah from the superior quality of the property. Now, if it's so, and the payment of damage cost is considered Knas, listening to Amiyah, let the Mishnah also teach an additional distinction. Tamid Misham Apiatzmi, that a tam does not pay based on his own admission. According to the halacha, the one does not pay a fine based on his own admission. Mud Misham Apiatzmi, whereas the owner of a Mud does pay on his own admission. So the answer is Tana V'Shayir. The Tana taught certain, and he admitted. It's afraid that when I shire the high shire, what else did it admit? Ransom shire chatzi kefer. He admitted half of the ransom payment. So the Gemara says, "Imishum chatzi kefer." If it's mitzad chatzi kefer, lav shiuri. It's not shiuri. Why does it basically damer tam misham chatzi kefer? Okay, Tashma. Now come and bring a ayah from the Mishnah Ksubis. Hey, Shady is plainy. A person says, "My ox killed so and so," or "My ox killed so and so." As a Mishalim of the Atzmi, this person pays on his own admission. My lav b'tam. The Seder must be with regards to that tam. If so, the Mishnah proves the one is required to pay chatzi nezek based on his own admission, which demonstrates that the payment is a Mameda, not Knas, but there's a Knas, ain't a Mishalim of the Atzmi. My answer is light. We're talking about B'moed. I'm on board. Abel tam mai. So the one says, what about my tam? Achanam de Mishalim of the Atzmi. He doesn't pay on his own accord. You have to look at Tanasif and Hamish Shady is out there, Vayni. In Misham Pias, we lift the list of the day. So instead of saying that in the case of one person says my ox killed so and so, he does not pay on his own admission. So let the Mishnah differentiate and teach the distinction with regards to the case raised in the first case as well. The reason for the distinction between the cases, which one kills a ox or a evitinani, is that the first one pays a memena, while the second is a knas. If the Mishnah wishes to demonstrate the difference between a knas and memena, with regards to a person who's made up the yatzmi, then instead of introducing a new case, the Mishnah should have modified the case in the previous clause. So the Gemara says, the Mishnah would have continued. The fact that the Mishnah does not do so suggests that in fact one is required to pay the half of the cost of the damage based on his own admission. So when they see that payment is considered memena. So the Gemara says, Kula b'meid kamari, we're talking about all b'muad. It says, anyone who pays more than the cost of that which he damaged does not pay based on his own admission. Now, my lav al-pachas mashizim mishalim. What would come out that what is it not where he is chayav to pay less than the cost that which he damaged? You would pay based on his own admission. Since he is a tam, its owner is chayav to pay more than the cost of the damage. The payment is clearly not memena, and this is why he's not chayav to pay on his own admission. The rest is late. No, kamashi izik. Much as the damage, Mishami pays. What about where one is tied to be less than the cost of the damage? Would it be that he doesn't pay? Instead of saying that anyone who pays more than the cost of which he damages, not pay on his own admission, you should say Zaklal, it's mash from both. So the Gemara says Tiyufta. The Gemara says, Alga Niska, you pay half is a knas, Versus Tiyufta Ilchasa, how could you have a Tiyufta and you say this is the halacha? In time of my have a Tiyufta, because it doesn't say that which is damaged. So this is because the Tana cannot make an absolute statement about such a case that one never pays based on his own admission. Because there's an obligation to pay half of the cost of the damage from pebbles. As we know, it's Memena, that's why we didn't say it. The Gemara says, and now that you have said that the payment of half the damage is a fine, with regards to a dog that ate the lamb, or a cat that ate a chicken, which is a typical behavior for dogs and cats, and we do not collect the payments for these acts in the quarter bubble. Since it's not common for these animals to eat those animals, these acts are classified as goring, irrespective of the fact that the animal gained pleasure from the damage, which is normally be classified as the category of shame. Therefore, in cases where these animals had not performed this act of damaging before, and were therefore considered atam, the owner is chayiv for only half the cost of the damage, which is a knas. Since the collection of fines may be imposed only by Yadim who have been smuchim, the Yadim given only their soul, these payments are not collected in bubble. Where it says this applies only where they attack large animals, as it's atypical behavior for them. Where they attack small animals, or since it's a typical manner, it's classified as shame, for which the owner pays the full cost of damage, which is soon considered the main. Accordingly, the payment is collected by the courts on bubble. Now, we eat toughest, and even in a case where the payment is considered a fine, if the injured party sees the property of the owner, we do not reclaim it from him since he's entitled to it. Now, if the injured party said to the court, fix a time for me to go to Eretz Yisrael to present the case. So Dazlin La'ar Yisrael, we fix a time for him to require the owner of Eretz Yisrael, Kavin Alei, we not go, we excommunicate him. Beikach, either way, either way, we excommunicate until he removes the danger. Now, Midram Nasan, so where do we know that a person should not raise a vicious dog in his house? And he should not set up a unstable ladder in his house. It says you should not bring blood into your house. One may not allow a hazardous situation or item to remain in one's house as long as the hazard items, the owner is in violation of the pasuk, and therefore the Beis Din may excommunicate him for failing to remove the danger.